ladies and gentlemen. Today, I want to take you on a journey to one of the most extreme and fascinating places on Earth, Death Valley, USA. Known for its scorching temperatures, breathtaking landscapes, and rich history, Death Valley is not just a desert. It's a land of extremes. Death Valley, USA, is renowned as one of the most extreme environments on the planet, particularly when it comes to heat. It holds the record for the highest air temperature ever recorded on Earth, 134 degrees Fahrenheit, 56.7 degrees Celsius, measured on July 10, 1913, at Furnace Creek. This record has stood for over a century, making Death Valley synonymous with extreme heat and harsh living conditions. But why is Death Valley so hot? The answer lies in its geography. The valley is a long, narrow basin that sits more than 282 feet below sea level and is surrounded by towering mountain ranges. These mountains trap heat, creating a natural oven effect where hot air gets recycled back into the valley instead of escaping into the atmosphere. Additionally, the valley's dry, barren landscape absorbs heat during the day and releases it slowly at night, keeping temperatures high even after sunset. Summer temperatures in Death Valley routinely exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit, 49 degrees Celsius, with ground temperatures soaring even higher. In some cases, surface temperatures on the desert floor have been measured at 201 degrees Fahrenheit, 93.9 degrees Celsius, hot enough to fry an egg on the ground. This extreme heat makes Death Valley one of the most inhospitable places for humans, requiring visitors to take extra precautions such as carrying plenty of water, wearing protective clothing, and avoiding strenuous activity during peak heat hours. Despite these extreme conditions, people have lived in and traveled through Death Valley for thousands of years. The Timbisha Shoshone, a Native American tribe, have called the valley home for centuries, adapting to the harsh climate by finding shade in canyon walls and utilizing desert plants for food and medicine. Later, during the California Gold Rush, prospectors and pioneers braved the unforgiving heat in search of fortune. Many perished due to the intense temperatures and lack of water, giving the valley its ominous name. Today, Death Valley's scorching heat attracts researchers, adventurers, and tourists from around the world. Scientists study its extreme climate to better understand climate change and desert ecosystems, while thrill seekers challenge themselves to endure the sweltering heat. The valley also hosts the Badwater Ultramarathon, one of the toughest foot races on Earth, where runners push their physical limits across 135 miles, 217 kilometers, of scorching desert terrain. Understanding Death Valley's extreme heat is crucial for appreciating its uniqueness. While it may seem like a barren wasteland, it is a place of scientific interest, natural beauty, and historical significance, proving that even in the most extreme environments, life and human determination can endure. Death Valley is often imagined as a vast, lifeless desert, but in reality, it is home to some of the most breathtaking and diverse landscapes in North America. Stretching over 3.4 million acres, this national park offers a variety of terrains that range from towering sand dunes to expansive salt flats, rugged mountains, deep canyons, and even volcanic craters. Each of these landscapes tells a unique geological story, shaped over millions of years by extreme weather, shifting tectonic plates, and the relentless forces of erosion. One of the most striking features of Death Valley is its golden sand dunes, which create mesmerizing, ever-changing patterns as the wind sculpts them into new shapes. The Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes, located near Stovepipe Wells, are the most accessible and frequently photographed, especially during sunrise and sunset, when the shifting light casts dramatic shadows over the dunes. But these dunes are not just beautiful, they are also home to unique wildlife, including sidewinder rattlesnakes, kangaroo rats, and desert foxes that have adapted to this extreme environment. Another astonishing landscape in Death Valley is Badwater Basin, the lowest point in North America, at 282 feet below sea level. This vast salt flat, stretching for miles, is a surreal sight, an endless white crust of crystallized salt left behind by evaporated ancient lakes. Walking across Badwater Basin feels like stepping onto another planet, with the ground crunching beneath your feet as you move through this otherworldly expanse. Despite its barren appearance, even this harsh environment supports life, including salt-tolerant microbes that thrive in the basin's rare pockets of moisture. For those seeking more dramatic scenery, Death Valley offers rugged mountain ranges and deep canyons carved over millions of years by wind and water. The Panamint Range, which borders the valley, features the towering Telescope Peak, standing at 11,043 feet, providing a stunning contrast to the low desert floor. Meanwhile, narrow slot canyons such as Golden Canyon and Mosaic Canyon offer hikers a chance to explore the sculpted rock formations shaped by ancient floods and erosion. These canyons reveal colorful layers of rock, each telling a story of Death Valley's complex geological past. Death Valley's volcanic history is also evident in its landscape. Ubehebe Crater, a massive 600-foot deep volcanic crater, was formed by a violent explosion thousands of years ago when rising magma met underground water, creating a steam-driven eruption. Today, visitors can hike along the rim of the crater and marvel at the sheer power of nature that shaped this land. Perhaps the most mysterious and fascinating of Death Valley's landscapes is Racetrack Playa, a dry lakebed famous for its sailing stones. These large rocks appear to move on their own, leaving behind long trails in the cracked mud. For decades, scientists puzzled over this phenomenon, but recent research has revealed that a rare combination of rain, freezing temperatures, and wind causes the rocks to slide across the playa's surface. This natural wonder adds to the mystique of Death Valley, making it a must-see for those intrigued by the mysteries of nature. Death Valley's landscapes are more than just scenic. They represent the power and beauty of the natural world. From the lowest salt flats to the highest peaks, from shifting dunes to volcanic craters, this land is constantly changing, shaped by forces beyond human control. Among Death Valley's many extraordinary features, Badwater Basin stands out as one of the most iconic and extreme landscapes. Located at 282 feet, 86 meters, below sea level, it holds the title of the lowest point in North America. This vast salt flat stretches for nearly 200 square miles, creating an otherworldly landscape that looks like a frozen lake. But instead of ice, the surface is covered in a thick crust of crystallized salt. The story of Badwater Basin begins millions of years ago when this area was once covered by an ancient lake called Lake Manly. Over time, the climate changed and the water evaporated, leaving behind concentrated minerals. The extreme heat and dryness of Death Valley caused any remaining water in the basin to quickly evaporate, leaving behind these dazzling white salt formations. When occasional rains flood the basin, a shallow temporary lake can form, reflecting the surrounding mountains in a surreal and mesmerizing sight. However, the relentless desert sun ensures that this water doesn't last long, further concentrating the salt with each evaporation cycle. The name Badwater comes from a small pool of undrinkable water near the edge of the salt flats. Early explorers and settlers traveling through Death Valley found this pool and, noticing that their horses refused to drink from it, labeled it as bad water. In reality, the water is not poisonous, but it is extremely salty due to the minerals dissolved from the surrounding rock and salt deposits. Despite its harsh conditions, this small pool still supports some resilient life, including halophilic, salt-loving, bacteria and tiny insects that have adapted to survive in one of the most inhospitable places on Earth. Walking across Badwater Basin is a surreal experience. The ground crunches underfoot as visitors step onto the salt flats, surrounded by a vast, open landscape that seems to stretch endlessly in all directions. On the mountainside behind the basin, a sign marking sea level offers a striking visual contrast, showing just how deep below the ocean's surface this land truly is. The combination of the extreme altitude, reflective white salt, and surrounding mountains creates a landscape that feels almost alien, like something from another planet. The salt formations at Badwater Basin are constantly changing. As water seeps up from underground springs, it brings dissolved minerals with it, which crystallize as they dry. Over time, these salt deposits form unique polygonal patterns, creating an intricate mosaic across the basin's surface. Each year, the landscape reshapes itself, making every visit to Badwater Basin a slightly different experience. Despite its barren appearance, Badwater Basin is a place of great scientific interest. Geologists study the area to learn more about the effects of extreme climate conditions on landscape formation, while ecologists examine how life manages to persist in such an extreme environment. Additionally, the basin has drawn comparisons to Mars and other extraterrestrial landscapes, making it a site of interest for NASA researchers and planetary scientists studying conditions on other worlds. Badwater Basin is not just a geological wonder. It is a testament to the power of nature, showing how the forces of evaporation, mineral deposits, and time can create one of the most unique environments on Earth. Whether viewed from a distance or explored up close, this vast salt flat remains one of Death Valley's most unforgettable sights. One of the most intriguing and mysterious features of Death Valley is Racetrack Playa, a remote, dry lakebed famous for a bizarre phenomenon: the movement of its so-called sailing stones. These large rocks, some weighing up to 700 pounds, 318 kilograms, appear to move across the cracked desert floor entirely on their own, leaving long, winding trails behind them. For decades, scientists, explorers, and visitors were baffled by this phenomenon, leading to speculation, legends, and numerous theories about what could be causing these stones to shift across the playa. Racetrack Playa itself is a flat, dry expanse, measuring about 2.8 miles, 4.5 kilometers, long and 1.3 miles, 2 kilometers, wide, located at an elevation of 3,714 feet, 1,132 meters. The surface of the playa is made of fine clay and remains parched and cracked for most of the year. The stones found here originate from the nearby Cottonwood Mountains, having tumbled down from cliffs and landed on the lakebed. However, what makes Racetrack Playa truly famous is the way these rocks seem to move across the surface, carving long, distinct trails in the dry mud, as if pushed by an invisible force. For much of the 20th century, the movement of these stones remained an unsolved mystery. Early theories suggested that strong winds could be pushing the rocks, but this seemed unlikely given the size and weight of some of the stones. Others speculated that magnetic forces, underground seismic activity, or even extraterrestrial involvement might be responsible. These mysterious, unexplained movements made Racetrack Playa a place of fascination, drawing scientists and conspiracy theorists alike. It wasn't until 2014 that researchers were finally able to solve the mystery. Using GPS tracking devices, time-lapse photography, and weather monitoring, scientists discovered that the stones move under very specific and rare conditions. During winter, when occasional rain falls, the lakebed can become temporarily covered with a thin layer of water. At night, as temperatures drop, this water freezes into a thin sheet of ice around the stones. When the sun rises the next day, the ice begins to melt and break apart into large floating panels. As gentle winds blow across the playa, these ice sheets push the stones along, leaving trails behind them in the soft mud. Once the water evaporates and the mud hardens again, the trails remain, creating the eerie sight of seemingly self-moving rocks. This discovery was a breakthrough in understanding one of Death Valley's strangest natural occurrences. It also demonstrated the power of patience and modern technology in solving nature's greatest mysteries. Although the movement of the stones is now understood, the phenomenon remains incredibly rare, occurring only under the perfect combination of rainfall, freezing temperatures, and wind. This means that even visitors who make the long and difficult journey to Racetrack Playa may not witness the stones in motion, but they can still see the stunning, silent evidence of their journey. Visiting Racetrack Playa requires preparation. The road to the playa is a rough, unpaved route that demands a high-clearance, four-wheel drive vehicle. Once there, visitors are met with a vast, desolate landscape, where the silence is overwhelming, and the sheer remoteness of the area adds to its mystique. Seeing the long, winding trails of the sailing stones firsthand is an unforgettable experience, one that showcases the surprising power of natural forces working in harmony. Beyond the scientific explanations, Racetrack Playa remains a place of wonder. It reminds us of the mysteries that nature still holds, and the patience required to uncover them. Even though the stone's movement has been explained, the playa continues to capture the imagination of those who visit, standing as one of Death Valley's most enigmatic and captivating locations. At first glance, Death Valley appears to be an endless, barren wasteland, an inhospitable land where life seems impossible. With its scorching heat, lack of water, and vast stretches of rocky desert, it's easy to assume that no living creature could survive here. However, despite these extreme conditions, Death Valley is teeming with life, from hardy plants and resilient animals to microorganisms that thrive in one of the most hostile environments on Earth. Each species has adapted in remarkable ways to endure the valley's punishing climate, proving that even the most extreme places can sustain life. Flora, desert plants that defy the heat. Plants in Death Valley have evolved to withstand long periods without water, intense sunlight, and extreme temperature shifts. Many species have developed deep root systems to access underground moisture, while others have small or waxy leaves to minimize water loss. Some of the most common plants found in Death Valley include creosote bush, one of the most resilient plants in the region. Creosote bushes have incredibly deep roots that allow them to extract moisture from dry soil. They can also survive for thousands of years, making them one of the oldest living organisms on Earth. Joshua trees. Although found in the higher elevations near the edges of Death Valley, these twisted, spiky trees are well adapted to dry climates and can survive on minimal water. Desert holly. This plant has silver-colored leaves that reflect sunlight, helping it stay cool while also reducing water loss. Cacti and succulents. Though less common in Death Valley than in other deserts, some species of cacti have adapted to survive in rocky areas where they can store water in their thick, fleshy stems. Perhaps the most surprising transformation in Death Valley occurs after rare rainstorms, when the desert floor bursts into a spectacular bloom of wildflowers. Known as a superbloom, this event happens only in years when enough rain falls to awaken the dormant seeds lying beneath the soil. For a short time, the valley becomes covered in vibrant hues of yellow, purple, and pink, attracting pollinators and transforming the barren landscape into a stunning display of life. Fauna, animals that master the art of survival. While temperatures in Death Valley can reach over 130 degrees Fahrenheit 54 degrees Celsius during the summer, many animals have developed survival strategies to avoid the worst of the heat. Some burrow underground during the day and only emerge at night when it is cooler. Others have light-colored fur or scales that help reflect sunlight, reducing heat absorption. Some of the most fascinating creatures found in Death Valley include coyotes. These intelligent predators are highly adaptable, feeding on rodents, insects, and even desert plants. They can survive with minimal water, getting most of their moisture from the food they eat. Kit foxes. These small foxes are nocturnal and have large ears that help them dissipate heat. Their diet consists mainly of small mammals, birds, and insects. Roadrunners. Made famous by cartoons, these fast-running birds are real and can outrun many predators. They are also capable of surviving on very little water. Sidewinder rattlesnakes, a unique species of rattlesnake that moves in a sideways motion, allowing it to travel efficiently over the hot sand. Kangaroo rats. These small rodents are masters of desert survival, as they can go their entire lives without drinking water. They get all the moisture they need from the seeds they eat and have specialized kidneys that allow them to conserve water. One of the most surprising creatures found in Death Valley is the devil's hole pupfish, a species of fish that has adapted to live in a single, isolated underwater cavern known as Devil's Hole. This fish exists nowhere else on Earth and survives in water temperatures above 90 degrees Fahrenheit 32 degrees Celsius. It is one of the rarest and most endangered fish in the world, highlighting how life has found a way to persist even in the most unexpected places. Microorganisms, the hidden survivors. Beyond plants and animals, Death Valley is also home to extremophiles, microorganisms that thrive in extreme conditions. These microbes can be found in the salt flats, hot springs, and even in the highly saline water of Badwater Basin. Scientists study these life forms to understand how organisms might survive in similar harsh conditions on other planets, particularly on Mars, which shares some geological similarities with Death Valley. The presence of life in Death Valley serves as a powerful reminder of nature's ability to adapt. Even in one of the most extreme environments on Earth, plants, animals, and microorganisms have evolved unique strategies to survive, proving that life is far more resilient than we often realize. Death Valley is notorious for its extreme climate, holding the record for the hottest temperature ever recorded on Earth. It is a land of extremes, where scorching summer days can reach unbearable temperatures and winter nights can bring unexpected cold. This desert landscape experiences some of the most dramatic weather variations on the planet, making it both a fascinating and dangerous place to explore. The hottest place on Earth. Death Valley earned its place in history when, on July 10, 1913, temperatures soared to an astounding 134 degrees Fahrenheit 56.7 degrees Celsius at Furnace Creek. This remains the highest air temperature ever reliably recorded on Earth. Even in modern times, Death Valley regularly experiences temperatures above 120 degrees Fahrenheit 49 degrees Celsius during the summer months, with ground temperatures reaching an astonishing 200 degrees Fahrenheit 93 degrees Celsius. These extreme temperatures occur due to several factors. Geography. Death Valley is a long, narrow basin surrounded by tall mountain ranges. When hot air gets trapped in the valley, it has nowhere to escape, leading to a buildup of heat. Lack of moisture. With less than 2 inches, 5 centimeters, of rainfall per year, Death Valley is one of the driest places in North America. The absence of moisture in the air means there are no clouds to block the sun's relentless heat. Heat reflection. The valley's rocky terrain and salt flats reflect heat back into the atmosphere, amplifying the already extreme temperatures. For those visiting Death Valley in the summer, extreme heat poses serious risks. Heat exhaustion and dehydration can set in quickly, making it essential for travelers to bring plenty of water or protective clothing and avoid hiking during peak daylight hours. Even vehicles are not immune to the harsh conditions. Radiators can overheat, tires can expand and burst, and electronics can fail due to the intense temperatures. A land of temperature extremes. While summer in Death Valley is infamous for its scorching heat, winter can bring unexpectedly cold temperatures, especially at higher elevations. In the valley itself, daytime winter temperatures usually range between 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 to 21 degrees Celsius, but nighttime temperatures can drop below freezing. In the nearby Panamint Mountains, which reach over 11,000 feet, 3,350 meters, high, snow is common during winter, providing a stark contrast to the blistering desert floor below. One of the most striking examples of Death Valley's extreme climate variation is Telescope Peak, the highest point in the park. From its summit, visitors can look down upon Badwater Basin, the lowest point in North America. The temperature difference between these two locations on the same day can be over 60 degrees Fahrenheit 33 degrees Celsius, demonstrating the dramatic shifts in climate within a single landscape. Rare but intense rainstorms. Although Death Valley is famous for its arid environment, when rain does fall, it can have a catastrophic effect. Since the soil is so dry and compact, it cannot absorb water quickly. This means that even a small amount of rainfall can result in flash floods, which rush through canyons and across dry lake beds, washing away anything in their path. One of the most dramatic examples of this occurred in August 2022, when Death Valley received nearly 1.5 inches, 3.8 centimeters, of rain in a single day, an event so rare that it was nearly an entire year's worth of precipitation falling at once. The floods caused widespread damage, washing out roads and stranding visitors in the park. These occasional but powerful rainstorms reshaped the landscape, carving new paths through the canyons and depositing fresh layers of sediment across the valley floor. Despite the destructive potential of these storms, they also bring life to the valley. Seeds that have been lying dormant for years suddenly sprout, triggering the super bloom phenomenon. If the conditions are just right, the desert floor erupts into a breathtaking display of colorful wildflowers, creating a temporary paradise in one of the harshest environments on Earth. The power of wind and dust storms. Another challenging aspect of Death Valley's climate is its powerful winds and dust storms. Wind speeds can reach 50 to 70 miles per hour, 80 to 113 kilometers per hour, stirring up massive clouds of sand and dust that can reduce visibility to near zero. These storms can be especially dangerous for travelers, as they can make driving nearly impossible and cause respiratory issues for those caught in them. Over time, these winds shape the landscape, shifting sand dunes and wearing down rock formations through erosion. Some of Death Valley's most famous features, such as the Mesquite Flat sand dunes, exist because of the wind's continuous movement of sand. Surviving the elements. The extreme climate of Death Valley is a testament to the power of nature. The scorching heat, freezing nights, sudden floods, and powerful winds make this one of the most challenging environments on Earth. Yet, despite these harsh conditions, life finds a way to endure, and visitors from around the world continue to be drawn to the valley's stunning, ever-changing landscapes. Death Valley is home to some of the most dramatic and unique geological formations found anywhere on Earth. Over millions of years, powerful natural forces, volcanic activity, erosion, shifting tectonic plates, and extreme weather conditions have sculpted the land into an awe-inspiring display of ridges, canyons, salt flats, sand dunes, and colorful rock layers. Each of these formations tells a story of the valley's past, offering a glimpse into the ever-changing history of the planet. The Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes, a desert sea of shifting sands. One of the most visually stunning landscapes in Death Valley is the Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes, located near the small community of Stovepipe Wells. Unlike most of the valley, which is dominated by rocky terrain, this area is covered in massive, rolling sand dunes, some reaching heights of over 100 feet, 30 meters. These dunes were formed as wind continuously carried fine sand particles from nearby eroded mountains and deposited them in this low-lying basin. The constantly shifting sands create ever-changing patterns and ripples, making every visit to the dunes a unique experience. The best time to see the sand dunes is at sunrise or sunset, when the low angle of the sun casts long shadows across the waves of sand, creating a breathtaking interplay of light and shadow. The dunes are also home to a surprising variety of wildlife, including sidewinder rattlesnakes, which have evolved a special way of moving sideways to navigate the shifting sands without sinking. Zabriskie Point, a canvas of colorful badlands. One of the most famous viewpoints in Death Valley, Zabriskie Point, offers a panoramic view of eroded ridges known as badlands. These rolling hills are composed of ancient sediments that were once part of a massive prehistoric lake. Over time, wind and water erosion carved the landscape into a surreal maze of ridges and gullies. The vibrant colors of Zabriskie Point, ranging from deep reds and oranges to yellows and golds, are the result of different minerals present in the soil. The area is particularly stunning at sunrise, when the soft morning light enhances the colors of the landscape. Artist's Palette, a spectrum of minerals. Another geological marvel in Death Valley is Artist's Palette, an area known for its extraordinary range of colors in the rock formations. The hills here are streaked with shades of pink, green, purple, yellow, and blue, creating a landscape that looks almost like a painting. These colors are the result of volcanic activity millions of years ago, when different minerals were deposited in the rock layers. The greens come from decomposed mica, the reds and pinks from iron oxides, and the purples from manganese. The effect is mesmerizing, making artists' palette one of the most photogenic spots in the park. The Devil's Golf Course, a jagged salt crust. One of the most bizarre landscapes in Death Valley is the Devil's Golf Course, a vast expanse of jagged salt formations that stretch as far as the eye can see. The surface is rough and uneven, covered in sharp, spiky salt crystals that formed as ancient lake beds evaporated over time. The name Devil's Golf Course comes from a description in a 1934 National Park guidebook, which stated, "Only the devil could play golf on such rough links." Walking across this landscape is nearly impossible due to the sharpness of the salt formations, which can easily cut through shoes and skin. On hot days, visitors can sometimes hear faint crackling and popping sounds coming from the salt formations. This eerie noise is caused by the expansion and contraction of salt crystals as they react to the changing temperature. The Ubehebe Crater, a volcanic explosion's legacy. One of the most striking geological features in Death Valley is the Ubehebe Crater, a massive volcanic crater measuring half a mile, 800 meters, wide and 600 feet, 183 meters, deep. It was formed around 2,100 years ago when a powerful volcanic steam explosion occurred. Unlike typical volcanic eruptions, Ubehebe Crater was created when magma beneath the surface superheated groundwater, causing a sudden and violent explosion. The blast was so powerful that it ejected millions of tons of rock and ash, leaving behind a massive depression in the earth. The area surrounding the crater is covered in dark volcanic cinders, giving the landscape a stark, almost alien appearance. Visitors can hike along the rim of the crater for breathtaking views, or even descend into its depths to get a closer look at the layers of rock and ash that reveal the valley's explosive past. Mosaic Canyon, a natural marble hallway. Mosaic Canyon is one of Death Valley's hidden gems, offering visitors a chance to walk through a narrow, winding canyon with smooth, polished rock walls. The marble-like walls of the canyon were formed over thousands of years as flash floods carried debris through the narrow passage, smoothing and sculpting the rock. The canyon is named for the beautiful mosaic patterns found in its walls, created by fragments of different types of stone cemented together over time. The hike through Mosaic Canyon is a fascinating journey through geological history, showcasing the power of water and time in shaping the landscape. A geological wonderland. Death Valley's landscapes are more than just beautiful. They are a record of millions of years of geological change. Every canyon, dune, salt flat, and volcanic crater tells a story of the powerful forces that shaped this land. Scientists continue to study these formations to learn more about Earth's past, while visitors are left in awe by the sheer diversity and beauty of this ever-changing desert. Death Valley is not just a place of extreme landscapes and scorching temperatures. It is also a land steeped in mystery, legend, and unexplained phenomena. For centuries, explorers, Native American tribes, and modern visitors have reported strange occurrences, from moving rocks and ghost towns to eerie lights and hidden treasures. The valley's vast emptiness, combined with its extreme environment, has given rise to countless myths and mysteries that continue to fascinate adventurers and researchers alike. The sailing stones of Racetrack Playa, rocks that move on their own. One of the most famous mysteries of Death Valley is the sailing stones of Racetrack Playa, a remote dry lakebed located in the northern part of the park. Scattered across the playa are large, heavy rocks that seem to have moved across the flat surface, leaving behind long, winding trails in the dried mud. Some of these rocks weigh hundreds of pounds, yet they appear to have slid across the ground with no human or animal interference. For decades, scientists and visitors alike were baffled by this phenomenon. Theories range from magnetic forces and underground vibrations to more supernatural explanations involving ghosts or aliens. However, in 2014, researchers finally solved the mystery. They discovered that during rare winter rainfalls, a thin layer of water forms on the playa, which then freezes overnight. When the sun rises and the ice begins to crack, a light breeze pushes the rocks across the slippery surface, creating the trails that have puzzled people for generations. Despite this scientific explanation, Racetrack Playa remains an eerie and fascinating place, drawing visitors who want to witness one of Death Valley's strangest natural occurrences. Ghost towns, remnants of the Old West. Scattered throughout Death Valley are abandoned ghost towns, remnants of the gold and silver mining boom of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. These once thriving settlements sprang up rapidly when valuable minerals were discovered, only to be deserted just as quickly when the mines ran dry. Some of the most famous ghost towns in Death Valley include Rhyolite, perhaps the most well-known ghost town in the region. Rhyolite was a booming gold rush town in the early 1900s, with a bank, a school, a train station, and even an opera house. However, by 1916, the gold had run out, and the town was abandoned. Today, only the ruins of crumbling buildings and empty streets remain, giving visitors a haunting glimpse into the past. Panamint City, nicknamed the Badman's Paradise, this town was founded by outlaws who discovered silver in the nearby mountains. Unlike other mining towns, Panamint City was known for its lawlessness and violence, with gunfights and robberies being common. Today, the site is difficult to reach, but those who make the journey can still find old mine shafts and rusting equipment. Leadfield, a short-lived boomtown that was heavily promoted as a promising mining site, only for investors to discover that the claims were exaggerated and mostly worthless. Within a year, Leadfield was abandoned, leaving behind a collection of wooden structures that still stand today. Many believe that these ghost towns are not completely empty. Legends of hauntings and paranormal activity are common, with visitors reporting strange noises, shadowy figures, and unexplained lights flickering in the night. Whether or not these ghost towns are truly haunted, they serve as a chilling reminder of how quickly fortunes could rise and fall in the unforgiving desert. The Lost 49ers and the origin of Death Valley's name. One of the most tragic legends of Death Valley is the story of the Lost 49ers, a group of pioneers who became trapped in the valley in 1849 while attempting to find a shortcut to California's gold fields. The group, which included families with children, ran out of supplies and water, struggling to survive in the harsh desert conditions. Many died from starvation and dehydration, while others were forced to eat their oxen, leather harnesses, and even their own shoes in a desperate attempt to stay alive. When the surviving members of the group finally found their way out, one of them is said to have looked back at the desolate landscape and uttered the words, "Goodbye, Death Valley." The name stuck, and the valley has been known as Death Valley ever since. Hidden treasures and lost mines. Throughout Death Valley's history, there have been countless rumors of lost gold mines and buried treasures hidden somewhere in the desert. Some of the most famous legends include the Lost Breyfogle Mine. According to legend, a prospector named Breyfogle stumbled upon a rich vein of gold somewhere in Death Valley, but was unable to relocate it after losing his bearings. Despite numerous expeditions searching for the fabled mine, no one has ever found it. The Death Valley German's treasure. A more recent mystery involves a German family who disappeared in Death Valley in 1996. When their remains were eventually found, rumors spread that they had been searching for hidden treasure, possibly linked to an old outlaw stash. The Lost Gunsight Mine. A tale from the 1800s tells of a traveler who picked up a gun-shaped rock made of pure silver in Death Valley, leading to the belief that a massive silver deposit was waiting to be discovered. Despite many searches, the mine has never been found. Many treasure hunters and adventurers still search for these lost riches, hoping that one day, they might uncover the valley's long-hidden secrets. Mysterious lights and unexplained phenomena. Beyond its geological wonders and historical legends, Death Valley has also been a hotspot for strange lights and unexplained sightings. Marfa lights, or desert ghost lights. Some visitors have reported seeing mysterious, glowing orbs floating above the desert at night. These lights have no known source and seem to move unpredictably, leading some to believe they could be atmospheric phenomena, UFOs, or even spirits of lost travelers. The Devil's Hole Portal. A mysterious underwater cavern known as Devil's Hole has been rumored to be an entrance to a hidden underground world. The cavern is home to the endangered Devil's Hole pupfish, but some believe it contains secrets far beyond science, including tales of explorers who dove too deep and never resurfaced. Vanishing travelers. Over the years, there have been numerous reports of people mysteriously disappearing in Death Valley. Some speculate that the extreme conditions simply claim unlucky hikers, while others believe that the valley holds dark secrets yet to be uncovered. A land of enigma and wonder. Death Valley is more than just a scorching desert. It is a land full of mystery, history, and legends. From the eerie movement of the sailing stones to the forgotten ghost towns and tales of lost gold, the valley holds countless secrets waiting to be discovered. Whether one visits for the scientific marvels, the chilling ghost stories, or the chance to witness something truly unexplained, Death Valley remains one of the most intriguing and enigmatic places on Earth.